Good afternoon, Grandview Hotel.
Yes, hello. I'm planning to spend a few days in your city next week, and I'd like to, make a reservation.
Of course. When did you want to stay here?
Next week, Wednesday night and Thursday night.
So that's February 13th and 14th.
Yes, that's right.
And how many guests will there be?
Just me. So, do you have a room available?
Yes, we do. I'll just need to take some of your information. May I have your name, please?
Oh, right, yes. It's Roxanne Wilson. Wilson.
Thank you, Miss Wilson. And may I have your credit card number?
It's 233-618-9872.
9872. Got it. All right, Miss Wilson. I have your reservation confirmed. Can I help you with anything else?
Well, yes. I was wondering, since I'll have a couple of free hours Friday morning before I leave, is there anything interesting to see close to the hotel?
Do you like museums? The art museum's very close by.
I love museums, but not art. Can't stand it. I've heard your city has a very interesting science museum, though.
Yes, but unfortunately it's closed in the winter. Are you interested in shopping?
Sure, I love shopping. Are there any good stores nearby?
Yes, we have a large shopping mall just 2 bus stops away. You take the bus to Monument Square, and it's just half a block from there. Just look for the post office, and you'll see the mall entrance next to it.
Fabulous. What about lunch? I hear your city has good restaurants.
Yes, there's a nice restaurant very near. It's just across the street from the park.
Sounds good. I can have lunch, then walk in the park afterwards. I have one more question. What's the best way to get to the hotel from the airport?
Subway is the fastest, of course. There are buses, but they're quite slow.
I'll be arriving quite late, after 10 p.m. I thought I might have to take a taxi.
The subway runs until midnight.
Oh, good. Then I'll do that. Will there be someone at the hotel front desk that late?
Oh, yes. The front desk stays open until 2.
Thank you for choosing City Tours. The reason so many people choose our tours when visiting this city is because you can design your tour to suit your own interests. Your all-day pass entitles you to board our bus at any stop and stay as long as you like at each place. The all-day bus pass costs $18 for adults. Children between the ages of 5 and 12 pay half the adult fare, and children under 5 ride for free. Our buses run every hour on the half hour, starting at 8:30 a.m. Our most popular tour is the Centre City Tour, which goes to all the major attractions in the centre of the city. From the starting point here at the tour bus office, the bus goes to the first stop, Hill Park. As you may guess, this park is located at the top of a small hill. The next stop is the fishing docks. Following that, the bus goes on to the third stop, Bay Bridge, located at the foot of the bridge which crosses the bay. The fourth stop is in the shopping district. Then the fifth and last stop is at Green Street. There are many interesting things to do and see on the Centre City Tour. At the first stop, you can enjoy a spectacular view of the bay, the city, and especially of the fishing docks, which are located at the foot of the hill. At the second stop, you can walk around and look at the boats. Fresh fish from the bay is also for sale here, since this is the place where the fishermen bring in their catch. The next stop is where some of the city's finest seafood restaurants are located, so you might want to plan a lunch stop here. You can eat fresh fish here, prepared in the traditional local way. The fourth stop is, of course, where you can do your shopping. Don't miss the opportunity to purchase some of our city's famous handmade baskets. You'll want to take several home as souvenirs of your visit to our city. Finally, at the last stop on the tour, you can visit one of the oldest buildings in our city, the theatre. This building was built over 400 years ago and is still used today as a place to see plays, musicals, and other performances, as well as our annual film festival.
We'd better start planning our research project because we don't have much time left before it's due.
I know, only 3 more weeks.
Is that all? I thought we had more time than that. Well, let's get to work then.
Okay, so we agreed we're going to interview shoppers about their spending habits. Did we decide to conduct our interviews at the department store?
We haven't decided anything definitely yet, but I think the shopping mall would be a better place. We'd get more of a variety of shoppers there.
Yes, that's a good point. So let's do that. How many interviews did the professor say we had to complete?
She said at least 30. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, but if we divide it up between the 2 of us, that's just 15 each. That's not so bad.
Okay, so I guess we'd better start designing our questionnaire.
Well, we have to do some reading first, don't we? Didn't we say we were going to compare our results to the results of a government study?
Right, the government study about how the economic crisis has changed people's spending habits. We want to see if we get similar results.
Yes, so we'd better read that first and then design our questionnaire. Then I guess we'll be ready to go out and interview shoppers.
No, don't you remember? The professor said she had to approve our questionnaire first before we actually conducted the interviews.
Oh, right. So we'll get her approval and then conduct the interviews. I think a Saturday would be the best day for the interviews because everyone's out shopping then.
Right. We'll do it on a Saturday then.
And let's also plan to get together the next day to analyse the results. It's best to do that while everything's fresh in our minds, don't you think?
Sure. That sounds like a good idea. Okay, so then we're going to have to present our results to the class. Do you have any ideas for that? It's an important part of our grade, so I think we should plan it well.
Well, I think the obvious thing is to prepare some charts showing our results and how they compare with the government study. That will help make the information a lot clearer to the class.
Right. Okay, so we'll draw up some charts of the results.
And then that's it. All that will be left to do is give the class presentation. Do you think we can be ready on time?
I sure hope so. Let's get started now.
Good afternoon. Today I'd like to continue our discussion of the lives of prominent American writers by talking about Louisa May Alcott, one of the best-known 19th century writers. Alcott is known for her moralistic girls' novels, but she was a much more serious individual than those novels might lead one to believe. She was born in 1832, the daughter of Bronson Alcott, who was one of the founders of the Transcendentalist movement. Bronson Alcott was a philosopher, but not a provider, and the family lived close to poverty. From an early age, Louisa was determined to find a way to improve her family's economic situation. As a teenager, she worked to support her family by taking on a variety of low-paying jobs, including teacher, seamstress, and household servant. Alcott also started writing when she was young. She wrote her first novel when she was just 17 years old, although it wasn't published until many years after her death. It was called The Inheritance. In 1861, the Civil War broke out. Alcott worked as a volunteer, sewing uniforms and bandages for soldiers. The following year, she enlisted as an Army nurse. She spent the war years in Washington, nursing wounded soldiers at a military hospital. While working at the hospital, she wrote many letters to her family at home in Massachusetts. After the war, she turned the letters into a book, which was published under the title Hospital Sketches. She also wrote numerous romantic stories, which she sold to magazines. Around this same time, she was offered the opportunity to travel to Europe as the companion to an invalid. When she returned home from Europe in 1866, she found her family still in financial difficulty and in need of money. so she went back to writing. Her big break came in 1868 with the publication of her first novel for girls, Little Women. The novel achieved instant success, and the public wanted more. From then on, Alcott supported herself and her family by writing novels for girls. It wasn't the writing she had dreamed of doing, but it earned her a good income. Alcott took care of her family for the rest of her life. In 1878, her youngest sister May got married. A year later, May died after giving birth to a daughter. Louisa Alcott raised her sister's orphaned child. In 1882, Bronson Alcott suffered a stroke. Soon after that, Louisa Alcott set up a house for him, her niece, her sister Anna, and Anna's 2 sons in Boston. Her mother was no longer living by this time. Alcott was still writing novels for girls, including 2 sequels to Little Women, Little Men and Joe's Boys. The latter was published in 1886. Louisa Alcott had suffered poor health ever since she contracted typhoid fever while working as a war nurse. She died in March of 1888, at the age of 55. She was buried in Concord, Massachusetts.
This is the ClearPoint Telephone Company Customer Service Office. My name is Ms. Jones. How may I help you?
Yes, I'm moving and I'd like to arrange to have a phone line installed.
Of course. Let me get some information from you first. May I have your name, please?
It's Kramer, Harold Kramer.
And would you spell your last name for me, please?
Kramer.
M-E-R. Got it. Okay. Could I have the address where you'd like to have the telephone connected?
That would be number 58, Fulton Avenue, apartment 12.
Is that a business or a residence?
A residence. It's my new home address.
Then the type of phone service you want is residential, not business?
Yes, it's for my home.
All right, fine. Now, let me get your employment information. Who is your current employer?
I work at the Wrightsville Medical Group.
Then your occupation is doctor?
No, I work for the doctors. I'm the office manager.
Okay. And could I have your work phone number?
It's 637-555-9014.
9014. Great. Just one more thing. I need to know how long you've been at your current job.
I've been working there for quite a while now. Let me see. 9. That's right, 9 years.
Okay, good. You've been there long enough, so I don't need to ask about any other work history. Now, in addition to our basic phone service, we have several special services available.
Could you explain them to me?
Most customers opt for unlimited long-distance service. It really saves you money if you make a lot of long-distance calls.
That sounds like a good idea.
Then I'll put you down for long-distance service. Another popular service is voicemail. Voicemail takes all your messages electronically, and all it takes is one simple phone call to retrieve them.
Voicemail. No, I don't think so. I have an answering machine to take my messages. It's old, but it still works fine.
We also provide internet service if you're interested in that.
I am. Please put me down for internet as well as phone service.
Right. Okay, I think we're almost finished. I just need to schedule a time for the technician to go to your apartment and do the installation. Let me see. What about next Tuesday? Would that work for you?
No, not Tuesday. I'll be at a conference all day. Wednesday would work, though.
I'm afraid I won't have any technicians in your area on Wednesday. I could send someone on Friday.
That would be fine.
What time of day works best for you? Morning or afternoon?
Morning would be best.
All right, then. It's on the schedule. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you for calling ClearPoint.
Good afternoon and welcome to City Hour, the radio show that brings you all the latest information about events in and around our city. Today, we have with us Cynthia Smith, who is heading up this year's City Fair. Cynthia, would you start by giving us some of the basic information about the fair? Where will it take place this year?
I'm glad you asked that question because I know most people will be expecting the fair to be at the fairgrounds as usual, but we've had to change the location this year due to some construction work. You know, they're building the new high school in that neighbourhood and they've been using the fairgrounds as a place to store construction materials. So we've moved the fair to City Park, which I think is a wonderful location.
Yes, that will be a great place for the fair. I understand that the fair begins on Friday morning with a special opening event.
Actually, it won't begin until that evening. But you're right about the special event. Traditionally, we've begun with a parade, but this year our opening event will be a special dance performance. And the most exciting part is that the mayor will be one of the dancers.
The mayor is a woman of many talents. Cynthia, could you tell our listeners about the price of admission? What will it cost to attend the fair?
We're trying to keep the price down as much as possible. A 3-day pass is just $25. Or you can buy a Saturday or Sunday only pass for $15. The opening event on Friday, the dance performance, doesn't cost anything to attend, and we're hoping a lot of people will come to watch that.
Could you tell us about some of the events planned for Saturday and Sunday, the main days of the fair?
We have a lot of exciting things planned. There are a number of events especially for children, including a clown show on Saturday afternoon. On Saturday evening, we've got an event that can be enjoyed by the whole family, a concert by the lake.
I'm sure that will be a popular event. Is there anything special planned for Sunday?
Yes, a really fun event, and we hope a lot of people will participate. There'll be a singing contest in the afternoon. It's open to everyone at no charge. It doesn't matter whether you're an experienced singer or not. If you've always dreamed of singing on stage, this is your chance.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I think it will be. I'd also like your listeners to know that besides the special events I've mentioned, there will be things taking place all weekend. For example, at the food court, international food will be served. You'll be able to sample dishes from all around the world. There will also be special games for children at different locations around the fair.
Will there be things people can buy, souvenirs, anything like that?
We have a large area set aside where there will be crafts for sale. This will be an opportunity to buy many lovely handmade things and to get to know some of our local artists and craftspeople as well.
It sounds like there will be a lot of fun for everyone at this year's fair. Thank you for sharing the information with us, Cynthia.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm interested in entering your business administration program, and I'd like some information on how to apply. I'm a little concerned because I've been out of school for a number of years.
That could actually work to your advantage. It's possible to get academic credit for work experience if that experience is related to courses in our program.
I've been working in business for several years. How would I get academic credit for that?
First, you'll need to read the university catalogue to see if any of the course descriptions match your specific job experience. For example, if you've worked in accounting, you may be able to get credit for an accounting course.
So then what would I do?
You would write a summary of your work experience, relating it to specific courses we offer. Submit that to the admissions office with a letter from your work supervisor confirming your experience.
Would I submit those things at the same time that I apply for admission?
Well, that would be the best idea. Have you seen a copy of our university catalogue?
Not the most recent one. I have a copy from last year.
You'll need to look at the latest one. Unfortunately, I've run out of copies, but you can get one from the library for now, and I'll send you your own copy as soon as I have more available.
Thank you. How does the admissions process work?
Well, first you'll need to get an application for admission. Those are available in the admissions office. The application form contains all the instructions you'll need.
That sounds simple enough.
Of course, you'll need to make sure you meet all the admissions requirements.
How can I know what those are?
We have copies of the requirements lists for all university programs here in the Counseling Centre. I'll give you one before you leave today.
Will I need to get recommendations from my employer or former teachers?
Oh, yes, you will. The recommendation forms are available in the admissions office. Now, I don't know if you'll also be applying for a part-time job through the university work-study program.
I'm considering that. How can I find out what kinds of jobs are offered?
You can access the job listings from the computers in the library. Are you planning to study full-time or part-time?
I want to be a full-time student.
Good. Then you'll qualify for the work-study program. Part-time students aren't eligible.
As a full-time student, would I be eligible for a free bus pass?
No, unfortunately, we don't have those available for any of our students. However, you can apply for financial assistance to help pay for your books or for your tuition.
I'd like to look into that. Do I apply for that at the admissions office?
No, that's through us. You'll need to make an appointment with a counsellor.
The black bear, or Ursus americanus, has a wide range inhabiting forested areas of North America, including Canada, the United States, and parts of northern Mexico. Black bears are omnivores, getting their nutrition from a wide variety of plants and animals. The particular foods any one bear eats depends on what's available in the area where that bear lives, as well as on the season of the year. Generally speaking, plant foods make up 90% of the bear's diet. The rest of its meals consist of animal foods, such as insects and fish. Bears have a relatively long gestation period. Mating takes place in the spring or early summer, but bear cubs aren't born until the following winter. Usually, 2 cubs are born at a time, although some litters may have as many as 5 cubs. Bear cubs are dependent on their mother and may stay with her for close to 2 years. Wild black bears can live as long as 25 years. They've lived for as long as 30 years or more in captivity. Much of the black bear's range coincides with the range of its close cousin, the grizzly bear. Although these bears are somewhat similar in appearance and habits, it isn't difficult to tell the difference between them. Colour isn't necessarily a distinguishing characteristic, as both species of bears occur in a range of colours from almost blonde to dark brown or black. Many black bears, however, have a patch of fur on their chests that's lighter in colour than the rest of their fur. Grizzly bears don't have this patch. Size isn't always a distinguishing feature either, although grizzly bears are usually heavier with an average weight of 225 kilos. Black bears average 140 kilos in weight. Grizzly bears spend time digging in the ground for roots and tubers that make up part of their diet. The large muscles they need for this give them a distinct shoulder hump. This hump is absent in black bears, which don't do the same kind of digging. The shape of the face and ears is also different in each species of bear. Grizzly bears have a depression between the eyes and nose, and short, round ears. Black bears, on the other hand, have a straighter profile and longer, more pointed ears. Grizzly bears are known for their fearsome, long, sharp claws. Black bears have shorter claws, which are better suited for climbing trees.
The festival takes place over a long weekend. That is, it starts on the Friday afternoon and runs until Sunday evening. Normally, the festival would take place on the 4th of July, the same day as American Independence Day, but this year we've rescheduled it for the 4th of August. Now, you can buy tickets for this festival either by the day or for the whole festival. The second option is cheaper, although of course not everyone can attend for the whole time. A day's ticket is $10 and it's $25 for the whole festival. That's very good value. If you want tickets, you're advised to get them early because there are always more visitors than tickets. Space is limited, so buy early. You can get them direct from the festival organizer's headquarters, the festival office, and I'll give you that address later. Or you can get them from any of our 3 post offices or one of the many bookshops in the town. Last year, we issued them from tourist advice centers and the town hall, but this year it was decided to limit the number of outlets to cut down on administrative costs. The weather is looking good. The forecasters expect it to be one of the hottest and sunniest weekends of the year, so it's perfect for the festival. Although I would remind you to cover up and be aware of the dangers of too much sunshine. If it gets too hot for you, you could always stay inside for some of the indoor events. And of course, you'll be able to get food from sandwiches and snacks to barbecues as well as ethnic fast food from several stands. There will be a bar this year, but after last year, we will only be selling soft drinks, beer, and wine. We have decided not to bother with a spirits license. There won't be any whiskey on sale. So, what's on? Well, I can only give you a flavor of the many attractions we have coming this year. But if I could name one of my personal favorites, you must see Petey's Dozen, a traditional New Orleans jazz band. They were here last year and were so popular that we've invited them back. If you like classical music, we've got a string quartet from Poland, appropriately called Strings, playing classical favorites. We've also got rock bands, a blues band from the UK, a group of traditional Bavarian beer hall singers, and another of my favorites, the Fiddlers, who come from Ireland. Their special brand of folk music is popular all over the world. Moving on then to other attractions in the Red River area. For children, there's lots to do and see, from museums to theme parks.
Good afternoon. County and District Bank Customer Services. Can I help you?
Hello? I need to speak to someone about getting a loan, an overdraft.
Yes. Perhaps I can help you. Do you bank with us, sir?
Yes, my name is Mick O'Drew.
Sorry, sir, your surname is?
O'Drew. Mick O'Drew. But my full name is Michael.
And can I have your account number, please, Mr. O'Drew?
Yes, it's 39261916.
That's fine. Now, I just need to confirm some details for security reasons. What is your address?
It's 24 Kilverton Drive. That's in Chalvey. That's Chalvey. The postcode is SA39ER.
And your telephone number?
0458 88320.
And can you tell me your date of birth, Mr. O'Drew?
Yes, it's 23rd of February 1967.
Thank you. Now, there are some gaps in your file here. I don't seem to have an address for you at work.
No, when I joined your bank, I didn't have a job.
Ah.
But I do now. I work for Calver Engineering. That's in Carbury. The address is 30 Works Yard, Carbury.
Could you repeat that?
Works Yard. WORKSYARD. It's 2 words.
Right. Thank you. Do you have a work telephone number where we can contact you, please?
Yes, it's 0912 79509.
7509?
No, it's 79509.
Oh, right. Thank you. How long have you been there, Mr. O'Drew?
I started in 1998.
Okay, that's fine. And can you tell me your current salary, please?
Well, I'm not sure exactly, but it's about £18,000.
Now, you would like an overdraft. Do you have any other major debts?
What do you mean?
Well, are you paying a mortgage on your house?
Yes.
How much is that every month?
It's about £450.
I see. And do you have any credit cards or store cards?
Yes, I pay £45 a month in credit card charges. Oh, and about £19 a month for my store card. That's with JH only, the clothes shop.
Do you have any personal loans or hire purchase agreements?
None whatsoever.
Right, well, the loan shouldn't be a problem. I can set it up for you in the morning. I've set your limit at £250, although you can raise this to £300 if you're still having problems. Just give us a ring if you need to.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Hi, Maria. Have you voted yet?
Oh, hello, David. What did you say?
Have you voted yet? You know, in the student union elections.
Well, no. I mean, they've only just released the names of the final candidates. The first round elections were only held last week.
But I voted already.
Yes, but that's the first round. You know how this works, don't you?
Well, not exactly. I mean, I thought you just voted.
It's pretty simple, but it's made more complicated because this university has 4 colleges, not just one. Each college can have many candidates for each post. These are reduced to a logical number. Then the real voting takes place.
So what did I vote for last week?
That was the first round, like I said. You voted for the candidates for Peterborough College, that's all. There are also candidates from the other 3 colleges.
Oh, I see.
Well, there are 7 positions to apply for in the union, although 2 of those are dealt with later in the year. That's the president and the vice president. Anyway, each college sends 1 candidate on to the second round, so that's 4 in all for each post. In other words...
In other words, it's 20 candidates. That's quite a lot.
It isn't when you think that there are 14,000 students at this college.
No, I suppose not. Can they all vote?
Yes, part-time and full-time students. Everyone. But most don't. Only about a quarter of those eligible to actually bothered.
So, who are the candidates from our college?
There was a leaflet about it this week. Some of the students stood as candidates for several posts before the final ones were selected. I think Jenny de Groot is standing for Women's Officer. She wanted to be Finance Officer, but Law got that post.
She seems to be more suited to working for the female students here.
Yes, I like her. She's the best person for the job. I'm not sure I'd support Michael McCarthy for his post. He's putting up for Entertainments Officer.
Doesn't he arrange the Saturday night band for the college? And the sports events? Surely he'd be ideal. He has so much experience.
Maybe. I don't think he chooses the right kind of groups for the college. He's too way out. He's not my choice.
Who's the candidate to be overseas officer?
A Chinese student who's been here for just over a year. She's the president of the Chinese club, and she organises some interesting cultural evenings for them. She seems to be quite capable.
Do you really think so? She's in my seminar group for linguistics. Her English is quite poor, and she's so shy she never mixes with us.
Oh, there are 30 different nationalities here, so she'd need to be more sociable. Perhaps Vikram Patel would have been a better choice.
Yes, I think so. Who did you say was finance officer? Law? Charles Law? He does accountancy, so he should be able to cope with the post. He'd be responsible for a lot of money.
I've always thought he was unreliable. And didn't he fail some of his exams in the first year? Doesn't sound too competent to me.
OK, yes, you're probably right. Who's the other person on the list?
It's Brian McKay.
Oh, McKay. He's quite a character. What position is he standing for?
He wants to be the liaison officer. The person who lets the teaching staff know about any problems the students might have. He's such a sociable person. He'd be a great communicator.
Yes, he's articulate and well organised, but he wouldn't be my first choice. Anyway, they're only the candidates from Peterborough College, so we'll have to wait for the results of the real election next week to see who actually gets each post.
Yes, we can discuss this again.
Thank you all for coming. Are we all here? Right, well, let's begin. This lecture, as you know, is the third in our course, Introduction to Linguistics. Today, we'll be looking at a variety of different languages, not any one specific one, and we'll be looking especially at languages which can help us understand how both language and languages evolve. Another issue that we will be exploring is the way in which languages have changed over time. These are fairly complex areas and they have proved to be rather difficult to grasp. And there are many different theories, some of which we'll look at today. But first, I want to talk briefly about a few different ways of looking at a language. Now, the language we all speak, English, is what is called a natural language, like French, German, Greek. What do we mean by that? Well, it's a difficult term to define, because most languages have evolved naturally, except for a very few, such as Esperanto, which was invented in the 19th century. So, I suppose that what we mean by natural is a language which we consider stable, fixed, not constantly changing. Now, as we know, all languages are in fact constantly changing, so it's something of a misnomer. But let's put it another way. Natural languages are considered by us to be permanent. They didn't appear suddenly. They grew up out of other things. Now, I want to contrast these languages with two other kinds of language: Pidgin languages and Creole languages. A Pidgin language is a language which is forced into being by circumstances, usually some sort of situation where two groups meet and don't speak each other's language, and they invent an intermediary language, usually for the purpose of trade or sometimes war. An example is Tok Pisin, which is a pidgin spoken in Papua New Guinea. A Creole language, on the other hand, develops from a pidgin into a full language. This happens when the pidgin starts having native speakers, that is, people whose first language is the pidgin. This happened in the case of the French Creole spoken in New Orleans, for example. Pidgins are found all over the world, especially in areas which are or were once important trade routes: the Caribbean, China, Indian, the Pacific. Basically, pidgins can be identified with one or two important characteristics. They are made up of parts of the two languages spoken by the group that have met, the trading groups or whatever, and they are usually based on a simplified form of one of those languages. That is, their grammar is a less complicated version of the grammar in one language. They use vocabulary from both languages, but there are fewer words, so each word often has more than one meaning. For example, in Tok Pisin, grass belong face means hair or beard. The pronunciation is also made simpler as pidgins lose the complex vowels of the parent languages. Creoles, on the other hand, formed when pidgins are learnt as a first language, are just as complex as so-called natural languages. They are expanded pidgins. There is often a considerable element of politicalization, as the emphasis moves from communication, which to pidgin speakers is most important, to community, which is the mark of a Creole. That is, a Creole is a community who speak a different, marginalized language. They often have to struggle to get their language recognized. As to where pidgins come from, There are basically two theories. The first claims that all pidgins are descended from a medieval trading language, what you might call the first pidgin, called Sabir. This is believed to have been based on Portuguese. It was spread as the Portuguese traders went from place to place.
Right, 9, 10, that's about right. OK, let's start. As the coordinator said, we'll look at where to eat on campus first. The principal place to buy food is here, the main refectory. As you can see, this is large. It holds about 500 people, so it's very busy. What can you buy here? They always have a good choice. Usual choices are vegetarian, fish, pasta and salad, as well as a main choice menu, including the budget choice. Sometimes they do special menus for a week. Last week it was Chinese food. I remember they had some wonderful choices. Of course, to get the best choice, you need to get here early. The main hall is open from 11:30 to 2:30, but by about 2 the choices are rather reduced. Unless you like chips and pies, that is. The budget menu is always available. What's the cost here? Well, it varies from about £1.50 for the budget meal to £3. It sounds expensive, but if you eat here, you probably won't want to eat so much in the evening as the portions are huge. OK, so much for the refectory. The next place to eat is the cafe near the Arts Building. That's here on the map. This is small, much smaller, with only space for about 50 people. It's also a shop, so it's very busy all day. It's open from 9 in the morning until 6 in the evening. What can you buy here? Well, really only tea, coffee, hot chocolate and sandwiches. The cost of a meal is about £1.15. One nice thing about here is that you can surf the internet while you eat, absolutely free, as long as you are a customer, of course. There are 6 computers for customers to use. Oh, I said there's a shop too. It sells all the usual things, chocolate, newspapers, sweets, cakes, and bottled drinks. It's very convenient. Another nice place to eat is the bar area in the theatre. Again, this is small, but there's more space than the cafe and no shop, so it tends to be less crowded. It's still quite busy, though, because it's very comfortable with nice chairs. It's open from 10 to 4. What can you get to eat here? Again, it's really only drinks like tea and coffee and toasted sandwiches. The toasted sandwiches here are better, since they also have a garnish, tomatoes and lettuce with them, but the average meal costs more, about £1.30. One problem is that they run out quickly here. You are not likely to find much to eat after about 1:30. Well, that's the general information about where you can eat on campus. But you know, those places are not just for eating and drinking. The main refectory has a string quartet of music students playing every Thursday at lunchtime, and on Tuesdays and Fridays, the theatre bar offers lunchtime jazz concerts at 1 o'clock. They're always popular, and the bar fills up by noon, so make sure you get there early. Now, I can see some of you are smoking. This is only allowed in certain areas of the campus and never in the library or eating places. Oh no, sorry, it is allowed in the main refectory, but only in a small section in the corner. There were suggestions that the theatre bar would be a smoking area, but this created quite a debate among students, so a final decision hasn't as yet been made. Thanks for your attention. Now your guide will take you on your tour.
We really had better sort this waste out. There's quite a lot of it now.
Yes, it's probably worthwhile taking this lot to the recycling centre now. There's at least a full carload.
Yes, but first we need to sort it all out. We won't be able to do that once we arrive there.
OK, so what do we do?
That's easy. We put each type into labelled boxes.
You mean sort them out into different materials?
Yes, that's right.
OK. It seems quite straightforward. What shall we start with? What about the glass?
Good idea. First, let's put all these bottles in.
Yes, but we shouldn't put that milk bottle in. That should go back to the milkman.
Yes, you're right. This is a returnable bottle too. It goes back to the local shop.
This broken mirror can go with the glass, can't it?
Yes, of course. But be careful of your fingers.
OK. What's next?
Paper, I think. We should tie up all those piles of old newspapers and magazines.
What about these yellow telephone books?
I think I remember reading that we shouldn't put those in when I last went there. We had better not. We'll put them in the general rubbish.
And these paperback books?
Oh no, definitely not those. They should be put into the charity container. They can resell those for charity.
There are some old car batteries here. They look heavy. Let's lift them out here.
Be careful, lift them carefully. Don't hurt your back. Bend your knees, not your back. And be careful you don't spill any acid, it will burn you.
It's a pity Britain doesn't have any system to collect these yet. They will just be dumped together with all the general rubbish.
That's terrible. Doesn't anyone do something with them?
Well, if we lived in Germany, Denmark or Sweden, we could recycle them. But not in the UK. At least not yet.
There are bundles of old magazines and newspapers here too. I think we put these in the general rubbish.
No, there's a special container for paper. It's all recycled and they make other products like writing and kitchen paper with it.
Actually, I think you'll find they can't do that with magazines, as it's a different quality paper. They do go with the rest of the household refuse. Oh, look! Plastic bottles. Lots of them.
Well, you know how much cola they had at the party. That's where most of it's from.
Well, all the soft drink bottles can be put together. What about the other plastics here?
Some things have a code. Yes, look here. These two are the same. We just need to look for the code on the plastic. That will tell us where we have to put the bottles.
Any bottle without a code? Well, we'll just have to check when we get there.
There won't be too many. Anyway, they do have a technician to offer advice when you get to the recycling centre.
OK, we've nearly finished. What about this bag of old clothes?
That's easy. The charities take those as they are, and they sort them out. Then they can sell the clothes which are still in a good condition, and they can make a lot of money out of them. The bad ones can be sold as rags. The paper industry takes those.
It's amazing what can be done with things we throw away.
If we don't try to recycle, then the future of the planet...
Welcome everyone to this final session of the Borchester Health Authority's Nurses Orientation Programme. We're very pleased to welcome Mrs. Beverly Evans, who is the chairman, or should I say, chairperson, of the Borchester Hospital Trust. All you nurses will know how valuable the work of the Trust is to us, and Beverly is going to bring us up to date with some of the things the Trust has been doing. Beverly.
Thank you, Dr. Groves, for inviting me to talk to this group. I am happy to report to you on our progress over the last few months. Well, I'm sure you'd like me to start with the good news. Most importantly, I can report on the Hospital Trust standards for last year. Well, one rough guide is how happy the public were with our service. I am happy to report that 5,961 letters of appreciation were received by the Trust, whilst there were only 57 letters of complaint. I'm sure that we don't want any letters of complaint at all, but I'm sure you'll feel that this is a good result. On the topic of public relations, we have recently established a visitors' charter to inform the public what standards to expect. These standards are now displayed in all patient areas, for instance on ward notice boards. An area of particular concern is that of patients with special needs. One recent initiative is a policy where all patients who have hearing problems have their records marked with a sympathetic ear symbol, only with their consent, of course. This will mean that anyone dealing with those whose hearing is impaired will be aware of the problem from the onset. Now, on to general topics. The main entrance is being improved. You've all seen the plans, I'm sure, and you've walked around the building work. Sorry about that. Well, the work actually started a few months ago. I'm very happy to tell you the work is progressing well and is on budget and on time. By next June, we will have a brand new entrance hall, which will be much better than the old one. We've received a few suggestions which would help patients. One interesting one is that staff who can speak another language should wear a badge to show this. Well, we've worked on this and have now identified speakers of Welsh, Urdu, and Arabic. Soon these staff will be sent badges to wear to show they are bilingual. We are hoping to add further languages to the scheme very soon, by the autumn at least. Now, fundraising. As you know, our local newspaper is supporting the cancer appeal. The public's response continues to be excellent, and many donations are received every day. Many members of the public have contacted us with fundraising plans. There are a lot of interesting ideas, but one really good one is for an open-air twilight dinner in the local park. But given our weather, I feel that a large tent would be a good precaution. Other more traditional ideas are for sponsored bike rides and sponsored sea swimming. Details of these and the necessary sponsor forms will be available shortly. Lastly, a report on patient feedback within the chemotherapy unit. We undertook a survey 18 months ago, questioning 50 first attenders and 150 re-attenders in the unit. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that all of these patients felt they were made welcome and were treated courteously at all times. Nearly all, 96%, felt they had their treatment explained satisfactorily, and 98% found the facilities in the day unit to be very good. A small number of areas need to be improved. One is more car parking, more toilet facilities, and better areas for private discussions. But I'm happy that the survey was so positive.
So, if you would all be kind enough to fill in these questionnaires before you go, I would be most grateful. I do take your comments very seriously, and if you don't tell me if something doesn't work, then I can't do anything about it, can I? Anyway, take a moment now.
Jeff, you've got to help me with this. I never know what to write for these things.
Well, the beginning is easy enough, Anne. You know what year we're in.
The first year, so that's level 1. OK, I'll underline that.
And the title of the course is An Introduction to the History of the South Pacific.
An Introduction to South Pacific History, actually.
And the teacher is Professor Merrick.
And Dr. Smith. She was nice.
I don't remember her. Was that one of the lectures I couldn't attend?
Actually, she did 2 sessions in January, and you had the flu then. Do you remember?
Oh, yes.
But what's the type of teaching? We have lectures and seminars. Should I underline both, or write something in other?
No, a seminar course is one where there are no lectures, just seminar meetings and discussions. The lecture course assumes there'll be some tutorials as well. But it is just considered a lecture course. Underline that.
OK. Now for the hard part. These statements about the course. It's 1 if we disagree, and 4 if we agree, right?
Right. Well, the module has clearly stated aims and objectives. Surely you can give that a 4.
Yes, I agree.
And for number 2, I thought the teaching methods were fine and encouraged me to participate. Give that a 4 too.
You hypocrite! You hardly ever got out of bed for the classes. They certainly didn't encourage you to participate. You should give it a 1 or a 2.
But that was my problem and not his. Professor Merrick is good, and he encouraged me. I just didn't respond. He deserves a 4.
OK, then. Number 3, the same. Number 4, an up-to-date reading list. Well, I think that's true. I'd give it a 4.
I'm not so sure about that. Every time I went to the library, I could only get old books if I could get anything at all. I say a 2 for that, or even 1.
You're being unfair, Jeff. You were unable to get the books because you left writing the essay until too late, and other students had the books out. Let's compromise and give it 3. What about book provision in the library being adequate? Is number 5. I think I would give that a couple of points, because a lot of books on the reading list only have 1 copy, and with over 100 people on the course, that's not enough. But the reading list itself is good.
OK, but the time on each topic is fine.
Yes, that's a 4, I guess.
For number 7, the feedback question, I think I'd give that a 4 too. He wrote some very helpful comments on my essays.
I thought I'd have liked the opportunity to talk through the ideas in the essay with Professor Merrick at more length. Just an hour or so. 2, maybe.
I think that would be hard. You said yourself that there are more than 100 students on the course. If he spent an hour with everyone, you work it out. That's 2.5 weeks' work.
Well, 3 then. Numbers 8 and 9 get 4s. Number 10, adequacy of classroom and facilities.
Now that is a problem. The room's not big enough for so many people, and the chairs don't have those things on the side so you can make notes. What are they called?
Wings. And it is ever so hot in that room with all those people there.
As Professor Merrick says, if we don't complain about it, no one will change the room. In fact, I think you should say exactly what the problems are in the other comments section. Leave out the hot bit. That's just a result of the fact that the room isn't designed for 100 or so people. We should write down our comments, though.
OK, I'll put our 2 complaints on paper.